Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. My name's Alex. We are joined by Daps, the Man City fan from Never a Foul. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. The weather's nice. Premier League is back. Not the first game I wanted, really, but it is what it is.
No.
Do you know what? The positive is we get Chelsea away out of the way, which means we've got Chelsea at home back end of the season. And listen, we never start well, so football's back, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole weekend. To be honest with you.
Oh, mate, I think I don't know. You seem quite pessimistic, but you
Yeah,
should be
I
positive, man. Have
am.
you not seen our preseason? I mean, you played against us. You
Yeah,
beat
but
us 4-1.
right. So up until so obviously Champions League final, you beat us. That season, I think you beat us 3 times in the space of about 3 months. Yeah. Three times in the space of about 3 months when Tuchel first came in. After that, until last season, you had not beat us once. You hadn't drawn. You hadn't taken any points off of us, right? So it was becoming a bit of a Chelsea easy 3 points. Last season, though, and I always try and look at things with a sensible head on. So last season, both times we played, you looked good. Looked like the way you play doesn't suit us for whatever reason. And you have to remember, people talk about City last season only dropping points when Rodri wasn't there. Yeah. And it's true. We lost a couple of games when Rodri didn't play. Rodri was there for both Chelsea games last season, right? And you still took a point. So last season, I was really looking at those 2 Chelsea games going, that could have cost us the league. That really could have.
Now, got the equaliser at the bridge as well. And then we come back with a Palmer penalty. I think the FA Cup game was just a killer for us. I mean,
do you know what?
Ridiculous.
So I was for the bridge game. The bridge game was that
That was the 4-4.
That was in like February.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I had just landed in Abu Dhabi, right? And I had COVID, right? Probably shouldn't have been flying, to be fair, but oh well. And I just got to my hotel, managed to find a stream on my phone to watch it, feeling like absolute shite, but thought, no, I think you went 1-0 up. I just thought, I'm not ready. I'm too unwell. Not watching this game. Fuck that. Yeah, because I thought, I know where this is going. I went to the FA Cup semi-final, and I must admit, it was 3 days after we lost to Madrid at home, wasn't it, and got knocked out of the Champions League, and we looked knackered, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't know how we're going to do this one, and but Bernardo popped up, and I guess Jackson probably should have won you the game, but it was a tight game, so all 3 games last season were tight. Look, we played you pre-season, beat you, defensively, that game, a lot of mistakes. And I think that's what's going to happen with you lot at the start of this season. Maresca's going to have you trying to play out from the back. And same as Pep's first season at City, when a team's first getting used to a new style. But the 2 games after we played you, I noticed your defence getting a bit better.
Yeah, we've definitely tightened up.
And there's that. And then there's the fact we haven't got Rodri, of course, which is a big deal. I don't know who's going to play there, to be honest with you. We will see. But then the other thing is, look, I'm old school. I'm like so you know, I've been supporting City since Main Road. I used to live in Manchester till I was 16. I'm a pessimistic old school City fan that still think we'll fuck everything up. And I also respect the fundamentals of football. Like, this is the opening game of the season at Stamford Bridge, right? You're going to be up for it. And I would say your players are going to be up for it after last season because, you know, they want to prove something. So I'm not going into this thinking this is an easy game. We will see. I'm interested to see if Cole Palmer starts. The one thing I know is Haaland is on fire. I expect Haaland to be up to something, but I'm not looking at this thinking this is, you know, last season, our first game was Burnley away. Walk in the park. This is not a walk in the park. So,
yeah, it's totally different. But I'm surprised how I thought you'd be more optimistic. I mean, are you one of the few City fans that's like this, or is this actually a general?
No. Do you know what? Right. So, like City do it. There's typical City, and typical City is just always, well, typical City originally was always fucking things up. Typical City now is making things difficult for ourselves. Obviously, yeah, with all the success we've had, we are getting, well, our chests are growing, right? We're a lot more confident. Now, if you want to ask me how the season will end, I will tell you we're going to win the league. We're going to do a 5-peat because I fully, when the chips are down, back this club to get it done, right? And back Pep and the squad we have. But, you know, I know how we start seasons. 2-3 seasons ago, we lost 5-2 to Leicester at home in like the opening couple of games. So we do start slow. And so I'm just realistic. Of course, I'm not saying I think Chelsea will win, but I'm certainly not thinking this is a walk in the park. I actually tipped Chelsea to finish in the top 4 this season as well. So,
you know, if we sign Osimhen, I'm with you. Just until that point, I haven't seen Jackson play under Maresca. Came off the bench against Inter in the last pre-season game. I like Mark Guiu, who just signed from Barcelona. I think that's a bargain. When you actually see him on the pitch, he's massive. He's only about 18 or 19. He's a big boy. But again, just don't know what to expect. I was speaking earlier on. I did a TalkSport show literally at 6:30 in the morning, and they said, "What do you think about Chelsea? Like, what's your predictions?" I was like, "I know just as much as you guys. Nobody knows. Yeah. Nobody knows what's going on. If you asked me to name all the players in our squad, I wouldn't be able to do it. If you asked me to say what style of play we're going to have, I wouldn't actually be able to tell you that either. Because although Maresca wants to play out from the back, he's got that Guardiola sort of mindset." But actually, I saw him try and adapt a few times in pre-season. We played some good counter-attacking football, which I didn't expect. And there was games where he actually gave Sanchez, and that's another question. I don't know why the hell we're playing Sanchez. We've just bought Jorgensen, a new goalkeeper, and you're telling me he's not going to be our number one. And we've sold about 3 other goalkeepers on top of that. And then
it's a bizarre one, Sanchez, isn't it? Because obviously you're like Chelsea are constantly, if someone don't work, no problem, we'll go and get someone else. But it's like you seem to want to stick with Sanchez.
We want to get rid of the good players, mate. We want to get rid of Chalobah, Petrovic. These are the guys that actually performed for us. Gallagher. So, I mean, I actually understand the Gallagher situation. There's a big split down the middle. I think ultimately, if you kept Poch and they still sold Gallagher, that's criminal. But because Poch is gone,
of course.
He doesn't fit into Maresca's system. Everyone knows that. And he's perfect for Diego Simeone. So, I mean, that's just a match made in heaven. Chalobah is a criminal mistake regardless, because he's still our best defender right now. I mean, we just lost Thiago Silva. Chalobah can play on the right. He can play in a back 4 or a back 3. He's got pace. He's got experience. And he's actually one of the few players, and there's not many of them left, that's won trophies with us. I
think that's where I look at you lot and do you know what? John Terry, I remember hearing something from John Terry early in the preseason where he was talking about, you know, the potential you've got defensively, some really good young defenders that are coming through. And he said last season they had Thiago Silva experience to look onto. He said the problem is now we haven't got any experience for all these young players to kind of grow from. And I know you've got Tosin.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, I hear it, bro. I hear it. I do a lot of shows with Chelsea fans, and
don't tell me they're hyping up Tosin as the next Thiago Silva.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they're not doing that, but they're very right. In the last couple of years, some of the players that you've got, they will really try and convince me about, right? And I'm like, all right, that's fine that you're trying to convince me, but. And even with your manager, to be frank with you, now I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying that you haven't got potential, but I'm just saying that for me, what's happened at Chelsea is that you have been absolutely, and I'm not saying this in a mocking way, you've been spoiled, right? As in the quality of the players that you have had, right? It's just phenomenal. Like if you look at players that Chelsea had under Roman, it's insane, right? And of course there was some potential you'd sign, but predominantly you just signed winners, right? You just signed winners, even down to the manager. The managers were winners, the players were winners. And And now it's like, it's predominantly all potential. Now, of course, that could work, but I still think Chelsea just need to find a bit of balance there, maybe. Now, the one thing you would say is that I think it's a positive at times with your board at the moment, although they keep diverting away from it, is Joe Shields obviously has worked at City, worked with a few of the players. Maresca's worked with a few of the players at City as well. And it does seem like the board are trying to give him some of what he wants. It's not just fully, Bowley going out and buying whoever. The fact he's got Tosin, worked with him before. The fact he's got Lavia, worked with him before. The fact he's got Cole Palmer, worked with him before.
Yeah,
it does show that, I'm intrigued to see how Maresca does. But I do think your club is for me, is probably the hardest place for a manager to go. Some would say somewhere like Arsenal, but for me, because under Roman, it always worked. You'd get a manager, he'd be successful. When the success dropped off, you'd replace him. Next manager would come in, he'd be successful. And it's a different model now. And I think sooner or later, the fans just have to be patient and wait with the manager, wait with the players and see what happens. But you know what? It's funny because us and you, we are deep down, we are similar clubs, aren't we? I mean, historically, trophy-wise, very similar. I think before you got money, I think you had 8 majors. Before we got money, we had 9 majors. And then we've both got money and become, by a country mile in the last, what is it now? Probably 20 years. It's been City and Chelsea. Like it's just been completely us. What I see with your fan base, talking on the Gallagher one, is something that I can look at my fan base and think I can see it going that way, where where a fan base seems completely divided over so many things. And I see it at my club sometimes a bit as well, where it's like, you know what? Both sides can be right at times with like the whole Gallagher thing and whatever. It seems a bit tit for tat. But yeah, listen, are you going, by the way, on Sunday?
Of course I am, mate. Are you going down as well?
No, I'm not. Couldn't get a ticket. So my first home game's Ipswich. Then we've got West Ham away, which I'll be at. But yeah, it's right now. I'll be honest with you. If you said, you know what, I have a point, I'd take it.
I'd take a point, 100% every day of the week. But actually, when you do say it, you are quite slow at the beginning of the season. That's where you get a glimmer of hope. On the ball, mate, I think we will be seriously threatening. I just get some of the players out there. I don't think we'll sign Osimhen in time. We don't even know if that deal's going to happen. But he's taken Napoli off of his profile.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. Seems like you're getting the Lukaku deal wrapped up with them first. And then, but if you think about it, a few years ago, you did something similar with Napoli where you got the Sarri deal wrapped up and then Jorginho followed soon after.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe that is because we've always struggled doing business with Napoli, really struggled. And maybe that's the way you need to approach it, one deal at a time. Give them a good deal on Lukaku and then say, yeah, because that's what happened with Sarri, wasn't it? You gave him a good deal on that, but under the understanding that you stole Jorginho from us lot.
Yeah, it's just the Italians, really. I don't think it's just Napoli. They're all difficult to negotiate with. But, they want Lukaku. Conte wants him. There's been all this talk about, we've offered 30 million. If you're not going to accept that, we're going to go for David Neres from Benfica. It looks like they've signed him. So they're going to come in again. There's not going to be any issues there. I think Conte is one of those managers you bring in and you know what to expect. If you don't give him Lukaku and he's got an unhappy Osimhen, I don't think anyone's going to be happy. So
no.
I think it's in everyone's best interest. Napoli, we get Lukaku's wages off the books. That frees up wages to actually be a little bit more flexible with Osimhen. And I think he's the final piece of the puzzle. If you can get a proper goalkeeper pinned down as well. But let's get into sort of what's going on with you guys. There's been a fair amount of drama recently, which is good for us. I'm absolutely chuffed to hear that Rodri's not available. Obviously, Oscar Bobbs, I think he's broken his leg.
Yeah,
he's going to
I
be
think
out for a
it's
few months.
something like a fractured tibia. He's flown out to Barcelona. I think they've operated on it today. But yeah, he's going to. Do you know what? That's one where it's really sad because we
He
got
would have had a
glimpses.
great season, man.
Yeah, you know what?
Really.
We got glimpses of how good he could be last season, but then in pre-season, he's looked unbelievable, and like he's become a player that is confident and believes that he should be part of it. Should be a starting 11. So that I think that's not ideal because he's one of the players that has had the full pre-season with us. He was nailed on to start against you lot. Grealish is out injured, I think, at the moment. So then that now leaves is probably going to be either Doku and Savio or play Bernardo Silva on the right. Yeah, Rodri not being there. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there. I mean, I'm waiting to see what Pep does tomorrow. Whether it's because when we got Kovacic off of you, I was saying, do you know what? Kovacic can do the six role, but after watching him in it, he can't. Kovacic is exactly, in hindsight, what he was at Chelsea. He's an 8 and he's got legs for days. He's brilliant driving with the ball, but he's not a 6. He doesn't know how to break up play in the 6 role.
Quite honest with you, man. I think, I just don't see how he fits into that team with a proper dynamic because he's not a shooter. He's not particularly creative. So I'm not understanding where he fits into City's squad.
I mean, to be fair, last season, when he was playing alongside Rodri, he was brilliant. And back end of the season, when Rodri was getting tired, Kovacic was Rodri's legs next to him, right? But he's not a 6. He's a ball carrier. That is exactly what he is.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's got a pass in him as well. But you're right. I got told by a few Chelsea fans, don't expect goals out of him. And obviously, everyone was saying he's replacing Gundogan, who got goals. And I get it. Yeah, Kovacic don't get goals. I mean, might get 1 or 2, but he's not a goal scorer. So, yeah, it's not ideal for us. The other thing is obviously Foden, Stones, and Walker. I think they've only been in training for about 4 days. So
okay, not long at all. Obviously, they've been away
because of
after the international.
So yeah, I mean, Pep said it's going to be a slow start for us. We're prepared for that. That's the thing. I know what will happen in this world of YouTube, and if City drop any points tomorrow, then Arsenal fans are going to be thinking the league's theirs. Tottenham are going to win, by the way, this weekend, and Tottenham are going to, Tottenham will be good for the first 2 months of the season. They're going to be excited, thinking that's their season. And Liverpool will probably win. And, it's all going to be slander on City, but I'm prepared for it because it's what happens most seasons. That's why I say a draw against Chelsea, knowing we've got a point at the bridge, second half of the season, we've got you at our place, and we keep it moving. Look, and by the way, I'm not that negative that I'm not ruling out a win, but I'm not going to the bridge expecting 3 points, to be honest with you. I'm not. I know some City fans will. I heard one tell me today we're going to win 4-0, but
4-0. Wow. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, mate. I think there'll definitely be goals in it. I think the question is, I think it's really more question marks on us than you, to be honest with you, because I think if we defend well, we just need the one.
Yeah.
But if we can't defend, then this is another 3-2, 3-3, a game like what we had last season.
Yeah.
So I think it's in our own hands, especially being at home, because we do struggle at the Etihad, even if we play well, to actually get the points. Yeah. One player I watched in the Community Shield, man, I absolutely love Josh McAtee. And I think Pep Guardiola thinks the same thing. He wants to keep him. I mean, he looks like a really, really good player.
You know what? He's been one that I've been a fan of for years. His idol's David Silva, who for me is City's best ever player in my era. I know people say Colin Bell, but I wasn't about for that. And he played. That's exactly what Pep said, that there's a place for McAtee because he knows how to operate in very tight spaces. Now, last season, pre-season, he wasn't great. And then he got loaned out to Sheffield United. And to be honest with you, when that happens usually at City, it means, you're probably going to end up going. So when kind of it's said in the summer, Pep wants him back with the team, wants him to go to America and give him another chance, I was thinking, please don't fuck up this time, right? Here's one more chance. Not many players get more than one chance, right? Pep's giving you another chance. And now in hindsight, I kind of understand why Sheffield United, because for a while I was thinking, why have we loaned McAtee to a team like Sheffield United that don't play football remotely like Manchester City? But it's very clear to see McAtee's bulked, it's got bigger, and he's had a full season at Sheffield United playing most games.
Mate.
Well, 2, yeah, but last season was in the Premier League and he played a lot, right? And it's almost like Pep felt you need experience playing the physical side of football, because we know that technically you're good, but now he's had a full season playing in the Premier League for a team that are fighting, right? And actually now I think, do you know what? That might have been a smart move for him. So I want him to do well. Do you know what? We've been being linked with Eze, and I kind of don't want Eze, because I think that if we get Eze, it might block McAtee's growth.
Yeah. I don't think you need him, to be honest with you. I don't think you need it. There was another guy as well. It wasn't just McAtee. Who else played
O'Reilly?
in the Was it O'Reilly? There was a tall guy, really tall
O'Reilly.
guy. But I don't know. It wasn't him. There was one other. Maybe it was Oscar Bob, actually. I don't know. There was quite a few youth players that you played, and 2 of them really impressed me.
We've got a young lad called O'Reilly who played in the Community Shield, and I don't think he would have stood out to you. He's quite tall, and he looks a bit. He does look a bit like Oscar Bob as well, a bit lighter. But that for me wasn't one of his best games. Now he's an attacking midfielder, but Pep has mentioned that he could potentially do the Rodri role. And in the Community Shield, he was playing in a lot deeper role, which I think is a bit. I mean, look, it shows that Pep's got confidence in him. But to take a young attacking midfielder and say, actually, I want you to do the holding role is against Man United is a bit of a struggle. But he is tall. He's tall, so that's why Pep thinks, you know what, you've probably got the physical power to be there. He is a good player. For me, he's better going forward than he is defensively, but we'll see. He might start against you, he might do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many question marks both sides, except for Cole Palmer. I mean, we all know he's the biggest threat.
He's starting. Do you think he'll start?
I think he'll start. Yeah, I think he'll start. I mean, who do you actually look at from a Man City perspective if you're looking at this Chelsea team and see, apart from Cole Palmer?
I'm a big Cole Palmer.
Because that seems to be the problem. He's the only threat that people talk about.
I'm a massive Cole Palmer fan. I didn't want him to go. I understood why. I understood why he went, and to be honest with you, I knew he was going anyway, because a lot of my friends that I go to games with are very close with him. So he wanted to go. So it is what it is. But away from him, right, I haven't seen too much of Nkunku, obviously with the injuries, but I'm intrigued to see if this could be his season, because we know the numbers he got at Leipzig. So, yeah, I'm interested to see him. Apart from that, Reece James, of course. Look.
Injured again, mate.
For real?
He's injured, but guess what? He's suspended anyway, actually. So it's
actually, he's suspended for... But
he was suspended.
Bad
he
injury,
is injured as well. I don't think it's a big injury. I think it's just like a minor one, maybe out for a couple of weeks or something.
Well, do you know what? That's a plus, because he is a threat whenever he plays. I'm trying to think of anyone else. Do you know what?
To be fair, we've got Pedro Neto as well, man. I think, especially if we're counter-attacking.
Look, if Neto starts, Neto gave us an absolute nightmare last season for Wolves. Yeah. Do you know what? You've got a few players that are kind of... I want to see Neto do well, because when he arrived at Wolves, he was unbelievable. And you know, when a player's just been so unlucky with injuries, he kind of... yeah, so I was about to say Sterling, right?
What a threat.
Bro, last time we played you...
That's true. That's true.
Actually, last time we played you in the league, he seems to... It's a very bizarre one with Sterling, because Sterling usually is shit against all teams that he's played for. Like, for us, never performed against Liverpool, ever, right? Was always awful against Liverpool. But then when he plays us, for you, he has probably the best game he's had at Chelsea.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah, I don't think he'll start. I think Nat will start. So, and do you know what? Jackson a little bit.
If we can get you in behind, I mean, I want Maresca to be smart. I don't think we need to go into this game trying to just retain possession. That's going to
Not
be our
against
game,
City.
but not for this
No.
one. If
No,
we
not
can
against City.
counter well, and I almost think keep the ball on the ground, because I still don't really see much physical presence up top. I mean, Jackson he is quite good at hold-up play. He was really good towards the end of the season, but apart from him, I'm not really seeing a lot of physical prowess. So if we can just get the ball up there, be technical, use those players. I hope Nkunku starts. I really do. I think he'll cause a lot of problems. He only needs one chance. And then you got Neto on the
100.
counter. Palmer can create something from nothing. But it's just the defense, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's it. I think the thing is, this has been a City thing for years and years and years. I mean, definitely all the years under Pep, maybe even under Pellegrini as well, is the way to get at Manchester City is being able to soak up pressure. And here's the key. You have to be able to do both effectively, right? If you can soak up pressure and counter effectively, that's how you get at City. It always will be on the counter, right? Now, when you look at it with Pedro Neto, with Cole Palmer, with Nkunku, yeah, like you could get at us. That's the thing. I think you'll see City pressing you. I mean, after the friendly, we'll be pressing you high from minute one. We'll be on top of you, trying to suffocate you, trying to force mistakes out of you. But then that gives you a chance to kind of bypass our midfield without Rodri as well. So yeah, it's a mad time to play each other, because I think we don't really know what to expect from Chelsea, and City with kind of, you know, the fact that a few players have only just returned. We don't really know what to expect from City at the start of the season. So it is a bit of a, you know, what's it called? Just to go out there and see what happens.
Nobody knows, mate. Nobody knows.
Nah. And
that's
I
part
will
of the
say,
fun of it,
I'll keep saying it. It is the first game of the season at home, and that is a big deal. Home games at the start of the season are always, everyone's up for it. Everyone's up for it. So
I will say this though: last season when we had Liverpool in the opening game, we were very confident.
you were very good.
I don't think the Chelsea fan base feel as confident now as they did last year. I don't, and that's because last season was like the do-over, wasn't it? Right, you fucked up with Potter. We got Poch. This is the time, and then we actually built something that I thought was worth building on, and we sacked him. And now we've got Maresca, who, to be honest, a lot of people had never heard of. He's come from Leicester, and we're a bit like, okay, we don't really know what to think. Like, there's no confidence. It's hope. I suppose if we start off well and we get the win, I mean, that would be massive for us. But it's hope. That's all
you
it
were
is.
good against Liverpool, weren't you? I think you drew, but you were unlucky to get a draw, to be honest. I think you deserved to win.
1-1.
Yeah. It is a hard one with Poch. I think sometimes clubs need to think about managers they're hiring, and ultimately, unfortunately for Poch, he'd managed Tottenham, right? So just little things like that. It's like, you know, when you buy players off of other teams, they're always like, you know, you've got a bit of a rivalry with. The fans will be quicker to turn on them, right?
It's true.
Poch did end up getting you playing some good football, but you ended the season very well, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, and now ultimately that's it. Now you're back to the unknown, and I know a lot of people are trying to act like they know a lot about Maresca, but they don't. Like they really don't. And I don't know, more than ever, I feel at the moment that people aren't forgetting the Championship is a completely different level to the Premier League. There's a reason why when teams get promoted, usually they're in the three that are odds on to get relegated, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, so we'll see.
Leicester would have got relegated with Maresca. We all know that. I mean, you can't play the type of football you want to play like in the Premier League. You just wouldn't be able to do that.
No, you can't. Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Vinny. We saw it with Vincent Kompany. Came up with Burnley, tried to play a certain style of football, and I think some people I think that might be partly why Bayern have given him the job, because they've thought, do you know what, we want someone that sticks by their morals. But in the Premier League, with a team like Burnley, you can't do that. So maybe with Maresca, the fact that you have seen him adapting, because I think that was one of your biggest problems. I think the fans' biggest problems with Poch was like that he'd often fuck about in his starting lineup. And all right, cool. He'd make some substitutions and get it right, but it's like he'd then go and change again. And I think you just wanted a bit of consistency with him. But
you know, he was so hands off, and I think
yeah,
that he was the polar opposite to Maresca. When you see training clips and videos of Maresca actually teaching the players how to move or whatever it is, that was foreign to us last year. But I don't think that was a priority last year because we had so many new players. I just think that they needed the experience and the confidence. So I actually didn't have a big problem with it,
yeah,
because I would say I'm quite patient. I think that processes take time.
yeah.
A year is a year. You can get a lot more done in 2 years. And you look at Arteta, Pep Guardiola, give
Yeah,
him 3
100%.
years, totally
Yeah,
different story.
yeah.
Maresca needs time. And this is the scary thing as well, mate, is if we don't have a good start to the season, by December time, a lot of fans, it could get very toxic. And this
Oh,
is
hell
the
yeah.
story of
Hell yeah.
Chelsea.
Yeah. It is. That's the truth. And I'm with you. Like, for me, trust me, I have the same with my club where after, all pre-season, I've been getting the board's incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. And it's
What?
like, but no,
You still get
I'm
that?
not joking, bro. Oh, fuck yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, more than ever. Bro, I got it last season after we'd won, a month after we'd won the treble. I was having some City fans, I've questioned how much of a City fan they are, saying this board is incompetent. Like that. And it's just is what it is. And you know what? I always say this, that right now, I don't get what the fuck we're doing. I don't get the fact that ask any City fan, they will tell you before we buy any position, we need Rodri cover. Rodri's told the club he needs cover. Like, we all know Rodri needs cover, and we're being linked with wingers, right? So, and it frustrates me. However, I feel that me having blind faith in Pep and the board is allowed because, they've done pretty well over the last few years. So and right now I'm just presuming Pep has a plan, right? Because if Rodri gets injured, what happens? And do you know what? On Sunday, maybe I'll know the answer. Maybe against you, because Rodri ain't playing. Maybe I will see the answer and go, all right, that's why I have blind faith in this manager. And not the manager, the board more so. But yeah, we will see.
I don't always think it's the board as well. I think also you've got to sign the right player. If I'm a player, I'm a top player, and I'm being linked with Man City. Do I really want to go into a team knowing that I'm number 2 in a position and I'm not really
100,
going to play?
100, yeah.
I think that's
Well,
definitely a factor as well.
That's Calvin Phillips. Perfect. You're spot on with that. That's what I always say is when we signed Calvin Phillips, I straight away said, looks like another Jack Rodwell to me. Ultimately, is he really coming here thinking he's going to dethrone Rodri? No. So therefore, he's coming with the mentality of a bench warmer. You don't win leagues with the mentality of a bench warmer, because when it gets to game week 22 and he hasn't played at all and he comes on cold, no, right? So for me, the signing I really wanted before the window even shut was Bruno Guimaraes, because for me, any player joining Manchester City should be coming with the expectation I am a starting. So take Bruno Guimaraes as an example. I would expect him to join City with the attitude and the expectations I am starting week in, week out in the 8 role. However, if Rodri is suspended, I can drop back into the 6 role and do that. But when Rodri is playing, I'm not on the bench. I'm playing in the 8 role, and Kovacic is on the bench, right? And that is what we can't. Do you know what? If we wanted to keep a 6 that sat on the bench, it should have been Lavia. We should have just kept Lavia as a young player to grow under Rodri. You can't buy a seasoned player with the right mentality of sitting on the bench. 100% right on that. So, yeah, we'll see. Look, we all have these questions all summer, don't we, about what's going to happen, and balls get kicked. Man United end up being shit again. like I said, Tottenham will start the season amazingly.
Tottenham are Tottenham,
I'm telling
mate.
you now. Huh?
Tottenham are Tottenham.
They really are. Like, if you really think about it, the season that they were in the title race, they ended up finishing behind Arsenal. Last game of the season, Arsenal overtook them and finished third, and they finished. That kind of sums up Tottenham, doesn't it? Like, so all these things just happen. It's but yeah, with us, like I said, I do believe we'll win the league, but you know, I look at games at the start of the season and think, I know we're not going to start well. And also, if I go into it thinking that, I can only be surprised happily.
That's it, man. Well, listen, Daps, where can people find you?
Yeah, so people can find me. My Instagram is mcfcdaps. City content, dad content, daughter content. And then my YouTube channel is Never a Foul. Myself, Cass, and Monts, Ty, load of other people. It's not a club channel, although I do have a City show on there every Monday. It's a Rivals channel. So, yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, look, check it out. We'll leave a link in the description as well. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
No, I appreciate you having me. And we'll chat again later in the season.
Absolutely, man. I hope to, mate, I hope we can get 3 points, but I think I'm a bit like you. If we get 1 point, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.